And now let's move on to contestant number 2. That's Divyanshu Poddar, CEO and co-founder, Rocketeers. The name of your company sounds very exciting. It's Rocketeers. Take us through what is your business proposition.
Rocketeers provides a platform to anybody and everybody to come and become rocket scientists and spacecraft engineers for tomorrow. We're providing this as a plug-and-play thing for either individuals or businesses to use. And we do this using a plethora of things, including hardware, software, and some curriculum. The beauty of the thing is that right now we are going through an unprecedented change in the space industry, where cost of access to space is reduced by a factor of 1,000. And India has a very strong space ecosystem from the government, especially with ISRO leading the world in several technologies. And if we want to maintain this lead, the private ecosystem needs to grow with it. ISRO is pushing it on its own level. There are already about 500 companies in India. But there are other things needed in the ecosystem, and we are trying to complement that.
Divyanshu, if I want to become a rocket scientist, what is it that you can offer? So
the first step for you would be to do a basic level model rocketry workshop, where you get to learn, first of all, what goes into space science, why space science, what are rockets, what's the difference between a rocket and a spacecraft, and things like that. You build a small system which behaves somewhat like a rocket. That's the first step. Once you start getting the overview, then you look at which specific fields you would want to work with, and then you take step 2 from there. So we have built this step and the whole chain of this from 5th class level to industry professional level.
B2B part of the business model works very differently from the B2C part of the business model. Yeah. And most of the time we've seen companies very rarely successfully integrate the two together. Yeah. It just quadruples the complexity of the model. So how do you plan to manage that? What is it that you need at your team level for you to be able to do that successfully?
So we actually found this very interesting. Our hardware is being developed for the B2C part, and it complements the B2B. And our curriculum and training solutions are being developed for the B2B part, and they complement the B2C.
Sure. No. So from a product perspective, I understand. But the go-to-market strategies are completely different. The sales cycles are different. The strategy to go and acquire customers are different. So, that's where the complexity is.
So up till now, we've got a very good response in both the segments, and it's been very organic. I'm sure as we scale up, there will be issues and where we'll have to take margin calls as to which segment is driving the business more.
So you're seeing client traction from both ends?
Yes.
So you're not planning to do an either-or?
No, we ideally don't want to do an either-or, because our curriculum and our hardware, basically the product is such that it serves the needs of both the segments. Okay. So then why don't we let go of an opportunity?
Okay, point taken. Final questions, judges?
So how much of your current revenue is coming from products and how much of it is coming from services?
So about 60 to 65% comes from product and about 35 to 40% from services.
Okay. Divyanshu, time's up. Yeah. I know you'd love to keep on talking about it. Your passion is evident. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay, now it's time for contestant number 3. Let's welcome on board for his session of mentoring Divyanshu Poddar, CEO and co-founder of Rocketeers. So, Rocketeers, all about bringing rockets and education about rockets.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Since we are an educational company, a lot of time people ask me whether we will give a secured job after the training course or after the program that they go through. And I personally feel that jobs are not the thing of tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be ruled by the entrepreneur and the artist. And jobs are something that happened, and now they're going away and they're not really coming back per se. So how to really showcase that to the people, and how do we really get that message across, where we want the industry to be entrepreneurship driven?
The market is giving you a signal. Yeah. People are bothered about jobs.
Yeah.
Okay. So what you say is, listen, this is about a skill, this is about understanding, this is about knowledge, this is about a hobby, this is about engagement and interest. Yeah. But at the same time, if you clear a certain exam or process or test or whatever, you get a certification.
Yeah.
And that certification may have some biodata value. Yeah. Okay. But I would not say this, I don't care about jobs. That's the wrong thing to say to somebody who's bothered about jobs.
I really want to understand that when I tell people that, okay, then the market is telling me that the things that we are doing are complete in themselves and we are getting legs on the things that we are doing, and cutting down on one of them would maybe make the business incomplete or would maybe make the vision incomplete. And I want to get this message across to people who are not my clients, but people who are maybe interested in investing in me, or maybe people who are my mentors, or maybe people who might partner with my business in some other capacity.
If you've got 8 aspects of your offering,
yeah,
what is it that students are engaging with?
So there are different students who are engaging with different aspects.
So if all of them are getting engagement, you produce the evidence in front of your prospective investors and say, look, all my offerings are popular.
Okay.
Right? And I will lose a bunch of customers if I knock this part out.
Okay.
Now, if the data tells you that actually that's not true, maybe out of 7 offerings, only 3 are being used, then that should be your offering. And reveal the data to your prospective investors.
Reveal the data.
I know you've got more questions, but that's it. But you've got some valuable insights. Yes. Think about that, Divyanshu, before we move on to the semi-finals, okay? Now let's call on board our third semi-finalist. It is Divyanshu Poddar, CEO and co-founder at Rocketeers.
So I have Girish Shivani.
As an entrepreneur, what is the biggest risk that you face? Is it social or family pressure? Is it funding? Is it competition? Or is it putting the right team in place?
I would feel that maybe all of these 4 options are not really risks, but challenges that we face. And for me, the biggest challenge in this would be putting the right team in place. When I was creating a team, there is a certain aspect of talent and grit that you need from a co-founder or a team member in a startup. You need some skill set. And then you need communication. You need a lot of communication skill for people who are going to come and work in a startup, because the idea behind a startup is to be able to showcase something new to the world, and for that you have to communicate. The combination of these 3 is very difficult to find within the Indian ecosystem, and that is why I would choose that putting the right team in place as my option.
Tell me now, how did you manage to convince now your team to get on board? Because, well, it's a niche business and it's a risk, as you have said.
We have structured our business in a manner where we provide people who have a little bit of an enthusiasm for entrepreneurship, or they want to taste the blood, I would say, an opportunity to do that without quitting their jobs or without really sacrificing on the security that a job would provide them. And that is why we have been able to build a very, very strong team.
It is very difficult to attract talent in early stage, right? Because there is not too much money on the table, you know. How have you gone about getting the core team in place?
We've found people here and there who would be interested. And then once we know that for sure that this person is suitable for this kind of a role and that person has a zeal to work for a startup, rather than us trying to get him into the company as a job, we would just sell our vision, and if they share the vision, then they're on the team.
Lufthansa Runway to Success has been present in the ecosystem and for quite some time now, and I heard about the competition first time when it was in season 2. Definitely it was a very inspirational platform, and the outreach that it had was absolutely massive. That became one of the primary reasons for us to apply. I always had the dream of working in space tech. I ended up going to the Indian Institute of Space Science and Technology. I wanted to enable students like me to be able to work with space tech. I thought that there must be a way where, you know, people could start working with rockets and satellites. The vision was to try and enable people to be able to work with space. In India, even though we are a technology leader and there are so many people who want to do this, we don't have model rockets, we don't have amateur rockets. Being a technology leader, we contribute less than 2% in economic terms, which is not really at par with the kind of level we can be at. And so that's how model rocketry seemed like the right idea to enable people to do this. We started flying our first commercial model rockets sometime around May of 2015. We've finally come to a situation where we've got a good product market fit. We've started understanding how to really scale up our venture and bring this activity to not just a few but thousands and millions of students across the country. The journey has been absolutely exemplary. I met so many interesting people and got such interesting mentorship from so many of the judges that we kind of interacted with. We've had a direct, tangible increase in the kind of customers which approach us and they've heard about us through Lufthansa Runway to Success, or maybe through something that happened due to Lufthansa Runway to Success, if not directly the show. Those kind of connects and relationships were made possible by Lufthansa, so that has obviously been a lot of fun and very helpful.
Now time to welcome our third finalist onto the show. Let's call on stage Divyanshu Poddar, CEO and co-founder, Rocketeers. Now go ahead, tell us, what is it that you decided to go with a fast food chain or not to go, and why?
I personally feel that quality and experience is not mutually exclusive with market share. One of the primary examples would be Lufthansa themselves. The leaders, and they're superb in quality and experience as well. So I feel that we would as a brand aim to be like Lufthansa. We would want to be leaders in terms of market share, but at the same time be leaders in terms of quality and experience as well. So yeah, I think we would go ahead and partner with the food chain, with a global food chain, which would increase our visibility, which would increase revenues, which would increase our customer base.
This chain wants to really work with you.
Yeah.
Is because they want to leverage your brand in their stores.
Yeah.
They're not setting up to send their customers to your stores, remember?
Yeah.
So, in effect, your brand will be their stores, so in some ways they would have control.
Lavazza partnered with Barista to sell Lavazza coffee at Barista stores, and it was branded as Lavazza coffee. It got people hooked. Today, Lavazza has quite a good market share in India as a product, as a coffee product, and they were able to do that because people were already going to Barista to experience a coffee shop experience in India, and Lavazza was able to showcase to the customers that they are offering a product which is appealing, which is tasty.
What are the biggest risks that you see in this partnership? So when you're on that negotiating table, what are the two things that you're trying to swing in your favor?
Is the fact that it's been mentioned that we are known as an experience brand, we hire the best people. So we would aim on a negotiating table to work on a shop-in-shop model, where we would excel on the basis of process, the process of how that coffee is made and how that coffee is served. And we would like our people to be deployed in those stores, or people trained by us to be deployed in those stores as a part of the agreement itself.
Don't you see a disconnect between the kind of customers you have and the kind of customers you are wanting to get by going into the chain?
I believe that's where our brand differentiation would come in, and that's where, we would have a stepping stone level product coming into these stores, where, you get to taste the blood, but you don't really get the full experience. But it's like a stepping stone towards, becoming a coffee connoisseur.
It's very clear to our judges. Thank you so much. You did great.
Thank you.